Good morning and welcome back to reviewing chapter 1. We've gone through almost everything. I hope you guys are clear about it. Let me zoom in and show you more of these details as we speed through them. With the HR management, I started by thanking you for joining my class and telling you again that you guys are the boss. You guys pay my bills, so be kind to me and communicate with me and tell me clearly what the job details are. Otherwise, I'm just teaching what I think is best. And HRM, my contacts are here. There's several contacts for other teaching assistants that can help you. We've gone through, we've defined human resource management, we've defined the functions. We talked about how it can help you get the degree, it can help you get the diploma. There's several different certifications. And we've talked more about the practical side, about how human resources are changing quickly, very fast all around the world. A couple examples is the idea of working outside of an office building, working from anywhere in the world. Because you can work from anywhere in the world, you can hire anyone in the world. And so you guys are now competing with more people from around the world from ever before. So you should be aware of the second trend for sure, which is about how lifelong jobs are reducing in importance. A lot of companies are trying to focus on hiring people to do a specific project. So be aware of that. And so freelancing and outsourcing is becoming very important. There's several challenges with the human resource planning around the world. Going through it, we've defined it. We've talked about a variety of things. I'm going to skip through some of this because it was week 1 and go through the quick details. Again, you can get certification. You are aware of several different types of assistance that human resources can provide, specific services, advice, coordination. They generally coordinate between all staff, all workers, and top management, understanding that the workers want the nicest, most enjoyable working conditions, and the top management is supposed to be getting the most profit. So top management wants to pay less for staff in order to have the most profit, and the staff want the most pay and the most benefits like vacation and things like that. So sometimes there's a conflict and human resources is in between. That's one aspect that's pretty obvious to some people. Another aspect of human resource is that human resource departments are supposed to continue developing the people, developing the human resources. Once you join a company, the whole idea of training those staff and developing them, that's the HR. And you're always supposed to be aware of ways to develop, especially mutually beneficially for the company. And today in the week 3, this is supposed to be week 3, we'll talk a little bit about that and what a resume looks like and how you guys can exchange resumes. We also talked about diversity, how that's increasingly important. And a lot of people aren't aware of some of the obvious benefits. The more different people you have in an organization, the more different cultures you have, which means the more different ideas and values you have, the more creative and generally the better your work environment will be, the more creative, the more productive it will be. However, once you do have many different cultures, people with different values working with you, there can be more challenges. So be aware of that. It's an increasingly important change. We talked about globalization, how you can work from anywhere in the world and hire people from anywhere in the world. We talked about types of online websites that you can work with to get online jobs. Pia, do you remember those? Can you refresh our class? What are the names of some online sources where you should post your resume or hire staff?
Yes, we talked about platforms like LinkedIn, for example, and also freelancers. So LinkedIn is more like putting up your resume and getting in contact with people. And I think freelancer was a bit more specific for jobs that are only for certain projects, but there are certainly more platforms to use?
Yes, I think this is so important. I'm going to sidetrack a little bit to make sure that we're aware of it. We're going to talk more about it today, a little bit in week 2 when we go through that, and week 3. But as we identified, Odesk and Elancer, they were some of the first online sites where you can share your resume, and companies could hire anybody for anything around the world. But that Elance, which I started with, and Odesk, they have been combined into a bigger company. So Freelancer and Upwork and Fiverr, and exactly as Pia just said, LinkedIn are incredibly important. I am not a specialist in all of those details, but you should check. All of you should be checking. Some people say Upwork, it may be easiest to post your resume, but when you use Upwork, any company in the world will post some sort of job, and then you need to search through all of the job ads and look through the different job ads, and then you need to apply for those job ads. So Upwork works that way. Fiverr, for example, is sort of the opposite. Soon as you join Fiverr, it takes a little bit more time. You need to identify more details. Soon as you have identified your skills, then anytime any company posts a job, this website will automatically introduce you. And it will show something like Facebook, who is the top of the resources and who is the bottom, and you can keep scrolling through possible people to hire. And as a worker, you can scroll through several different possible different jobs. To do very well on Fiverr, it helps if you have recommendations. So, Jong-Moon, how many of your classmates have you reviewed in LinkedIn and promoted them and given them amazing recommendations, so you're helping them look good for jobs so that they will do the same for you?
Oh, none.
So you understand the basics, right? If you have a profile online, you may be considered for a job, period. If you don't, obviously you won't be able to get those jobs online. If you have a LinkedIn profile, like I assume Pia drinking her coffee, she may have a LinkedIn profile, but if she doesn't have a recommendation or a support or even a viewing from Jong-Moon or Solinda Cheng, then the companies that view Pia will think, maybe she's not that good. Maybe if Joe Jimok, if he has a profile in LinkedIn, just like Pia, but if Joe Jimok has everyone in the class aware and connected with Jimok Joe, then the companies will think he's better than Pia at first glance. But if Solinda Jeng also has a LinkedIn profile and everybody in class is connected with her, and 5 different people in class have given her a thumbs up or a recommendation for research or public speaking or working with other people, then the companies are going to see Solinda as the best possible candidate right away. And they really have to dig into Pia to find out if she's good. And because technology is controlling, it's ruling people's lives, they usually look most at whatever's at the top of the list. And so to get to the top of the list, you need to have lots of connections. To stay at the top of the list, you have to have many recommendations. And so if you do get an award or a prize or some special thumbs up from somebody for doing something, post that with your online LinkedIn profile or Fiverr or Upwork, whatever you're going to be using. Joe Hewan, I think I am making many people go to sleep. Can you tell me what I was just talking about? Joe Hewan.
Yes, sir.
Tell me what you understand I just said. Do you understand what I just said?
Sorry, I don't
Good. So
Really?
people don't understand me. Let's try another. Lucas, good morning. You look awake.
Good morning.
Maybe
Yes.
you've finished your coffee. You have a nice safety mask on.
Yes.
Do you understand what I was just saying? Can you
Yes. And you
repeat the
want
summary?
us to connect to each other over LinkedIn, because if you have more views, more likes, or anything on your profile, it's more likely that you get a job offering, because the companies think you're more active, or you have people who are telling that you're a good person, worker, researcher, something like that. And if we help
Awesome.
each other, then it will be more likely that we have better cards in the game.
Awesome. What about what I said even before that? You did an awesome summary of what I just said. Hopefully, Hewancho heard and understood him. But could you go beyond that, Lucas, and tell me why? Why should you care? Why should you care about using LinkedIn or Fiverr or Upwork or Freelancer?
Yeah, because the longer you're on these platforms and the more contacts you get, the more likely it is that you are on top of the notch of the job offerings. If like a company is searching for an engineer, for example, they will find you more easily.
And why don't you just go and apply to Samsung? Why should you be looking at this LinkedIn anyway? Why should you look at Fiverr anyway? Is there a trend that you should be aware of?
If you ask me like this, then definitely there's a trend, but I can't tell right now.
Okay,
what
so
it is.
there is a trend. In the past, in history, Japan was famous for anybody that got a job in a company. Like if you got a job in Toyota, that job lasted for life, and your family, your spouse, and your children were taken care of for all of your life. And there was very little chance that you would be fired. If you're a really, really bad worker in Japan, Toyota would just send you to go work in some super, super remote island where nobody was, so that you hated your job and then you'd quit. But lifelong jobs were popular in the past. Some people, maybe young people, still think they hope to get a job for Samsung or for General Motors or for Tesla, and they think after they get a job, then they're going to be set for life. But that lifelong employment is disappearing really fast. A lot of CEOs are saying they want to just hire people to do one task, one small project. Maybe the project is a month, maybe it is 1 year, maybe the project is 5 years. So you're hired more like a consultant and then let go. And so that reduces a lot of costs and headaches for companies, they think. So the trend is for companies to hire people from LinkedIn, hire people from Freelancer, hire people from Fiverr, etc. So companies are starting to do that more. So if you want a job, make sure you're there where companies can hire you, number one. Number two, since lifelong employment may be reducing in numbers, you may want to consider you being the company, you being the business. You start selling your services, and then you can retire off of that rather than just being an employee making money for some other company. So if you start developing a profile in LinkedIn or Fiverr or Upwork, you can start developing your international type business to sell your services or your product, no matter what you're doing. So we ended week one with asking if you guys had additional questions. There weren't too many additional questions. The idea of communicating was important. This is talking about planning. That whole idea of you need to plan for your future, start working with HR, not just for a company, but for yourself. It would really help you guys if you make your plans for the future. So this small little map that I've talked about in class, map your future, map your dreams, start trying to climb those steps to get to your dream goals and success as much as possible, as early as possible. And by connecting with each other in Fiverr, by connecting with each other in LinkedIn, that can help you get closer to your dreams. Obviously, giving recommendations would help. So please do that. And please make sure you have a resume ready to share. Before I go through too much planning, was it Andre? Did you hear what we were supposed to plan for week 3?
Yes, we were supposed to plan our introduction to the group project, for the group project.
Great. And anybody know how many marks that's worth?
I think 15, if I'm not wrong.
Okay. So we're all working together, and in my mind, we're all equivalent. And since you guys are paying me to give you information, I'm just going to keep talking and keep giving you guys a lot of information, teaching these things. If you guys want a job, what do you need to do? Jang Moon. If you want to get this pay, if you want to get these points in class, these grades in class, you get a grade from me for doing anything. I don't take points away. The more you do, the more you participate, the more you show me, the more points I show you. And you could get 15 points for doing something today. So when are you supposed to start talking about this stuff? Do you expect I'm going to slow down and say, okay, student number 1, student number 2, student number 3? Or do you think I'm just going to keep teaching and push you guys to promote yourself, to be proactive?
Well, I believe that our group can present today, anytime.
Okay, so I continue back with week 2. Do you understand what I'm doing, Solinda? I'm playing mind games with you guys, saying, if you want these 15 marks today, you need to start telling me to shut up and start presenting your introduction about why your topic is important, why your research project matters to you, and why we should care. But if you guys stay quiet, then I get all the benefit, I get all of the teaching time, and you don't. Don't stay quiet. Start promoting yourself. Start being proactive.
Okay, then group 6 is
Thank
ready
you.
to present.
Pia, awesome. Group 6. I think you now have a chance to share your screen, Pia. Is there anybody else that would like me to allow you to share your screen? Is there anything that you have to share? Pia, you can share something if you want.
Yeah, 1 second.
Anybody else? Jong Moon, are you shaking your head because you want to share your screen? After
No,
Pia?
we are in
For
this.
one group.
Okay.
Can you see my screen?
Yes, I can. AI.
Okay, then Andre starts, and I'll just click whenever you need to.
All right, so welcome to our introduction for the group project.
Oh, sorry.
Yeah, so I would like to start with the agenda. You can go to the next slide, thank you. We will talk about topic introduction, then we will move on to the importance of the topic, and then we will give you examples so you would have an idea about companies who already use the artificial intelligence. So for our topic, we decided to talk about how does artificial intelligence change the recruitment and selection processes in the companies. And one of the main questions for the research that we've talked about would be which technologies are already available on the market, who uses AI, who benefits AI, and how does AI, not KI, affect the human resource management. I'm sorry for the typo. And we would also like to ask people if they are willing to accept the autonomous evaluation, because some people might not like it, some people might prefer it. And the methodology, we will review the literature, and we will conduct a survey about what are people's thoughts on AI in the recruitment and selection processes.
Yes.
Sounds awesome. Thank you.
Okay.
First of all, I just wanted to interrupt to make sure everybody knows how specific is their research project. Uzbek Anarov, do you think their topic is clearly specific, or can you confuse it for many things? Is it very general?
I don't think it's very very general. I think it's basic.
Good. Yes. So every one of you needs to understand their topic is very specific, how artificial intelligence is changing recruitment and selection processes. Perhaps if they go through an example, company number 1, company number 2, how it's changing, company number 3, how it's changing. If they did something like that, then that could perfectly align. Maybe Andre is focused on getting a job with company number 1. Maybe Pia is focused on getting a job with their company number 2. Or Jung Moon is focused on getting a job with company number 3. That type of thing would be super, super specific and very valuable for them. If you just put a resume, a general resume on the internet, trust me, not too many companies are going to find it or care about it. You need to increasingly be specific for you can do, I don't know, purple wool basket weaving for puppy dog bowls of food, rather than just something general, I can do anything. The more specific you are, the more you can be identified by the computer programs that are looking for you. So very good topic. Please continue this good work.
Okay, so why are we choosing this topic? Why is it important? First of all, with the ongoing technologization and globalization, not only are the artificial intelligence technologies and functions getting better, but as you already said, more applicants from all around the world can basically apply to any job anywhere. And thus, the HR management is increasingly using AI to work with all this flood of applications. So we think the topic is very relevant and rapidly advancing, and it will in the future basically change how companies recruit and select. So what is already possible? AI is already used for pre-screening. We already talked a bit about this, so they can do simple sorting jobs like going through applications, but they can also actively encourage applicants to apply for a job, for example, through chatbots or portals like LinkedIn. AI is also used in pre-selecting. This means they can find suitable applicants, and they can also conduct and analyze interviews already and give a pre-evaluation for the candidates. And the final hiring decision is mostly still with humans, but maybe that will change in the near future. So we think it's very important to learn more about this. And the last thing is we also think it's very important to find out what applicants think of this process, because it's important for the successful hiring process, because as long as they still have the opportunity to maybe apply for companies who are not using AI or are self-selecting out of the process, it could hinder companies to get good employees. And we also all know how costly it could be if we make wrong hiring decisions. So we think this is a very important point to consider. Okay, with that, we're done with the importance, and we would go to a few examples of companies who are using AI.
Wow, did you guys do your whole group project already? It's almost like you're finished and you have a final result. Very good. Keep going.
Thank you. So our group have started to look for some current examples of AI technology and companies utilizing AI recruitment. HireVue is a company which converts video interviews contents into context and analyzes the word which was used by the applicants. And Presire also analyzes language, videos, and telephone for a better understanding of applicants. There are already more than dozens of companies that are using artificial intelligence to hire someone. In particular, recruiting companies are active in utilizing AI, and the most common technology is to use potential applicants screening an AI chatbot as recruiting assistant. LinkedIn is the most representative examples of potential applicant screening. LinkedIn is known to expand advertising and membership by posting recruitment information suitable for the applicant's specialty on the newsfeed of potential applicants. As a result, it is reported that job applicants increased by more than 30% and the number of applicants increased by more than 40% every year. In addition, it is reported that the frequency of receiving answers, even when rejected from the applying, increased by 45%. Interactive communication between applicants and employees increased more than double. Amazon was one of the companies which had used AI for the recruitment. They find out that AI program was having gender discrimination due to past bias database. So they had shut down this AI recruiting system. Those are our first step in our research. And this is our, can you go to the next? Yeah, we found also can provide references on the next page, but thank you.
That last slide, could I see that last slide one more time before you guys are completely finished? I heard one of you, I think it was maybe your third.
Pia said her Wi-Fi stopped working, so I will try to share it real quick.
Okay, I will make you a co-host too. Here you are. Yes, go ahead. You can share your screen now.
You guys see my screen?
It's starting to come up for me. Yes, now I can see examples. Yes, higher view.
Yeah.
Sorry, my Wi-Fi broke down.
You want to see the example slide or the literature slide?
Okay, just pause for a second. And during your presentation, you guys, for example, could be promoting yourself to the world right now because this is going out on video. So if you are trying to get a job from me, for example, are you ready to compete? Based on what you've said up until this slide, I'm going to say, bullshit, I don't believe you. You're wrong. You're saying AI is important. That's just your opinion. My opinion's different. So what are you going to say? You've said AI is important. You've said that HireVue, whatever company that is using it. I say that's not a company. It doesn't even exist. Prove it. What can you do? How can you become more competitive and avoid headache people like me? You said it, but why should anybody believe you? And the answer was on the third last word that Jung Moon said, and that last slide that you went through in a very short time, so people didn't really understand it. Can we see the last slide now?
I believe this is the last slide.
Nope.
This
Keep going. Nope. Keep going to the end. Your references.
Yeah.
Yes, right there. Those references are incredibly important. If you don't talk about those when you're talking, it's just your opinion. And you can get headache people like me saying, I don't believe it. That's just your crazy idea. I think because of this, blah, 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 blah. And I don't give you another chance to talk and you look really bad. So when you are communicating with anybody, you could present your idea, but that opens up the world to attack you because the world is also trying to get a job. And the world might want to just, some other person, like another applicant might want the job. That's one thing. But you guys probably all know some websites or videos where you have trolls. What is a troll? Jung Moon, what's a troll? Internet troll. Sure, Andre's laughing. Maybe Andre, you understand. What is an internet troll?
Yeah, I've been trying to understand the definition for over 10 years now, but basically it's somebody who's just bored on the internet and just trying to like attack you for no reason without any logical argumentation, just
some idiot that is maybe doing drugs, I don't know, but they just get online, they don't know what they're talking about, but they pretend like they do and they attack anybody they can. So Pia, you started and you gave an amazing presentation, but I was going to start saying bullshit right away just to be an internet troll, because so far what Pia said was just her idea. And then your other guys, you guys went through it also. And even Jung Moon, you went through and you finished. And I think your third last word was references, but you only said it in half a second. And you went through this literature slide so quickly. And even Andre, you didn't seem to realize the importance of that last slide. So that's why I'm telling you, make sure whenever you're saying things online, you start by saying somebody else says this and somebody else supports it and somebody else says this. Because if you're saying somebody else says it, they can't attack you. They can only attack that other person. That's number one. And then you need to understand the importance of, is it just anybody saying it? Is that guy saying it a drunk, crazy person? Or is it one of the most reliable researchers in the world recognized by Scopus Association? So if you say one of the most reliable journals in the world identified this, then it's very hard for somebody to argue with you. And they still don't even know what you know. They have just identified that you have shown the best practices from somebody else. So you still look very good and you can attack people. If they do attack this person for a good reason, you could say, yeah, I agree. I was just about to say that. That was that person's reference, not mine. So make sure you're not just giving references at the end, but try to have in slide or in text references also, where you list the name of the person, like Nawa 2009 and Babi 2020. Are these real people? These are probably not real. Who's called Babi?
We hope they are real people.
Stoner? You're using a reference from Stoner in 2015? Right. So
But I have a question about this. We used we put some of these references on the slide. Was that okay of the format?
Did you?
Yeah,
I didn't notice it.
Back, yeah, it was like at the bottom, so that's why I'm asking.
Could you show me?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, this one
Yeah.
is showing part of it. Yes. Yeah. Okay.
And-
Now, yes. Now
Yeah.
you're showing the Stoner 2015. Right. So you did say part of it, but when you were talking, you didn't talk about those things.
Okay, so we should also say like references.
Don't
Okay.
promote the Stoners or some baby, but if they are a reliable source, promote that simple fact. Say it's one of the world's most reliable sources. Maybe that company hiring you is going to be interested in you, but they're possibly interviewing thousands of other people. And if you can identify, you know what the world's best information is, whatever you say might be valuable, but just having the access to the best information might attract that company also. So yes, using those references is very good. Thank you. I took too long, but your presentation was awesome. You should get perfect marks for that. I hope you guys.
Sorry for the Wi-Fi interruption. My internet broke down.
That's why I have 2 or 3 computers going.
Yeah.
You're not required to do that. I don't want to upset my boss. Anybody else wants to start talking before I take over the screen and continue talking too much for the rest of the class and don't give anybody else a chance to get points? Let me remind you, Andre, I hope I'm saying your name correctly. Is that correct?
Yeah, it's correct.
Andre and Jungho and Pia, because you're the first, some professors would say nobody deserves perfect, but I say screw those professors. It's 2021, we got coronavirus. Look at Bastian, he's wearing a mask all the time, and Heywan, you're wearing a mask. We got hard times here. So I'm gonna give you guys perfect marks, 15 out of 15. You went at the beginning of week 3, which is when you were supposed to, even though we didn't even finish week 2 details, which is extra noble of you. And you took the hint that you should be proactive. If there's anybody else that wants to take the hint, I'll be generous with you too. But less and less generous. Even say something, bullshit me. Even if you don't have references, you can get some points today for introducing what is the topic you're interested in. Even if your group didn't have a chance to meet yet, even if your group didn't decide what your project's going to be, what can you do? You can present anything. You can present what you think is important, what you want to research all by yourself. and don't worry about your group until they join you. And then you could get points. If you stay quiet, your employer is not going to see you. You're not going to get the job. You're not going to get paid. I can't give away points. I want to give away points. I just, Tobias, do you think Andre deserved maximum points, or do you think he could improve with something?
No, I think for that what they delivered, it was quite fine to give perfect points, because I think we didn't really have like that much of a frame of what we have to do, and they did their best. So I think why not? I like that.
Okay. Good. Are you ready to try to get some points?
Yes, I think so, but I don't have the presentation on my computer.
So your choice is just give up, or
no. We will give it a push. We give it a try.
Awesome. So who wants to have the screen share ability? Who wants me to co-host? Bastian, are you ready?
It's me, Bastian. Yeah.
Okay, Bastian. Anybody else want me to allow you to share your screen? Uzbek, was that hand up saying that you want me to allow you to share the screen after Bastian? Or no, you want to stay quiet and you don't want a job? Thank you very much,
actually,
Bastian.
I will help Bastian.
Anybody that does want to present today, send a text message to the teaching team and they can hook you up as co-host. Go ahead, Bastian.
All right. Yes, let me introduce our topic, group number 1, which which is sorry, I'm lost for words. Way too early. Which is a combination of Tobias Hump, another of Zotbeck, and me, Bastian Sherman. Our topic is how can green human resource management influence employees' pro-environmental behaviors? So first of all, we're going to define what is green HR. Afterwards, we have a look what is pro-environmental behavior. To sum it all up, we have a slide talking about what are we going to find out throughout our group project. So what is green HR? Green human resource management can be defined as a set of policies, practices, and systems that stimulate the green behavior of companies' employees in order to create an environmentally insensitive, resource efficient, and socially responsive organization. So why is that important and why we have to consider it? So most likely, sustainability strategies are becoming a popular way of attracting more customers and building strong relationships with the company. Moreover, these strategies can save a lot of money in the long term and benefit society by less harming nature and human well-being. And underneath, you can see some keywords regarding linked to our topic, which might be the climate change, recycling, renewable, reusable, clean energies, and sustainable development. Keywords that you will find more often in our report. But what exactly is pro-environmental behavior? So pro-environmental behavior, also known as green sustainable or environmentally friendly, eco-friendly behavior, is defined as behaviors in which individuals take protective actions towards the environment, our environment, and so more our Earth. And why is that important? Most of the companies which aim to turn their business into environmental friendly one will hire innovators or professionals of this sphere. Moreover, company get positive corporate image. As environmental sustainability is the main topic of today's business and economy, companies and working staff has to evolve towards these trends. And once again, related keywords to this kind of topic are the employees' mindsets and their decision, then the sustainable model of a business, and the interaction with the nature. So now that you have been briefed about our introduction, we can tell you something about our aims and goals during our report. So what are we going to find out through our project is first of all to get a basic and broad understanding for green human resource management. Then what kind of measures companies can take to achieve successful green human resource management, as well as how can green human resource management help companies. We'll come over with some examples for companies more in detail. And finally, the role of employees' mindset and behavior on green human resource management. Thank you, guys.
Thank you. I like that tie in the image. Can I get some of your classmates to give some comments? How about Celinda Cheng? How are you today?
Hello. Yeah, I'm fine.
Are you feeling powerful? Are you feeling like you could be the professor? You could be the boss? I want to give you the job. You are the boss. Evaluate that last team. They just gave a presentation. Talk about it. You pretend that you know everything and evaluate what they did.
Okay, so they talk about the green resource management. They present us how to do resource management and to protect the environment. I just wanted to say that the PowerPoint was very nice, very attractive. I don't know what to say more about that.
Were they very specific?
Yeah, I think.
Oh, okay. Can I be an internet troll and attack them? Did they say things that I could argue with and attack them? Did they give references or support for what they were saying?
Oh, I don't think that they give references. I don't know if I.
Oh, yes, chatbot, so I can kick their ass. Oops, I'm not supposed to say that on YouTube, right? Any comments? Who was Tobias? You are the partner of Bastian, right?
Yeah, right.
So I didn't hear you present too much, so I'm going to attack you. I think
yeah.
Bastian is one of those stoners that the first group referenced, but your stoner group, you didn't give any support. So why should I believe you? What are you talking about?
I think this was just the introduction. So for us, it was like more to give like a view over the topic, and it's more like what we stated in the PowerPoint is more like that's what we want to prove throughout our research. So for us, that was just like the questions or the things that was that were in or that came to our minds when we were looking into the topic, and now we have to prove that. So I think that's coming now, and we also have like the one, or I think it's about 1 page of introduction as a written document, and we have like some articles collected. So yeah, I think
so
with
you
that
do,
we have like
you do have articles selected. So you do have references. That's a good thing.
Yeah, we do have that. Yeah.
Good. So I didn't hear about that. I just heard Bastian, maybe he was a stoner or whatever, and he said, "Oh, it's important to me, dude." But I could argue with him, it's not important to me. So when you say something is important, it is helpful to try to show how important it is. You know, that you're talking about how the movement to green or eco is important. You could reference, you know, flooding places around the world or climate change or whatever, but using statistics helps people know that you're plugged in and you know what's going on. So when you introduce yourself, you're talking about the importance of the topic, not just in your mind. Remember, I really respect what you guys are doing. You guys are doing great, and you have an extra page to hand in. Perfect. But I'm just a nice guy. Many people in the world, if you don't really impress them, they're not going to care at all. So try to protect yourself against these other people. Show why everybody should be listening, not just your opinion. And the companies should respect that also. The last thing I wanted to point out is many companies spend millions of dollars or billions of dollars to develop their details, and they will hire consultants to give them information, but they probably do not pay millions of dollars for access to the world's scientific journals, where the professors are where Einstein is first showing E equals mc squared. So the companies get things from practice without actually talking to the world's researchers or the world's best minds. Why am I talking about that? Why should you care? You guys, part of this university, most developed good universities in the world, they pay millions of dollars to get these journals from the best minds of the world, the best benchmarking practices. And so simply by finding one of those articles, it's probably worth $30 to $100, generally $50 each story. Taking one of those and giving it to a company, you're giving them $50. If you summarize it for that company, you're adding value to it, you could say it's worth $1,000. If you find 10 of those stories times $50 each, that's several $1,000s, and you add your value, you summarize it, you tailor it for the company, you could say that's worth $10,000. Again, some of my students in the past, there were many groups in the class, but all groups coordinated, so they're working together, and they sold a class paper at the end of the term to a company like Samsung, but in the United States. They sold it for $120,000. And again, a lot of the value is just having those references, having those articles. So thank you very much for evaluating that group. Any other questions about the first two presentations, or anybody else want to present today? If you present next week, know that we don't have a class on Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, I believe, because there is a holiday. It's the annual Chuseok or Thanksgiving holiday. Anybody want to present now or try to get more marks in a later class? That's up to you. Going once, going twice.
Well, my group is not here, so that's why I would like to present on Thursday, but do you prefer me to present alone or in group?
The topic in week 2 is talking about planning. So what do you think planning people could say? If you do something now, you get marks, period. I will not take marks away. I just keep giving more marks depending on how much you deserve. If you wait for another day, what if, I don't know, there's internet outage or something and you can't present? Understand?
Okay, so if I do now, it's a mark for all my group.
Maybe mostly for you, but yes. If you say they did all of the work, you can give marks to them. Otherwise, if you say that you did everything, then you get the marks. It depends on what you present.
Okay, so can I try?
Absolutely, that's a good idea.
Okay.
And who is part of your group?
Zephyr and Shuza, I don't know.
And yes, Almuratov Shogabos. So how about, is Sinbad here? Bumaza Jad Sinbad or Thomas Louis Arkin or Hewan Cho? I would like Hewan Cho to comment and evaluate you after Solinda finishes talking. So Hewan Cho, you are the professor. You need to check. Are they specific? Are they talking shit? Or is it good? Is it important? Things like that. They're just introducing the topic. Go ahead, Solinda.
Okay. Wait, I just opened the
Oh, so I need to share the screen with you, right? Okay. You can now share anything you have, your notes or websites or whatever you want.
So can you see my screen?
Yes, some introduction file.
Oh.
While you're getting this ready, I also suggest for everybody, always think about the other person. Always think, how can you help that other person when you're doing HR, trying to get a job? If you're submitting a file to me, remember that I'm a super old 3,000-year-old guy, and I've been teaching for 1,000,000 years. So I have millions of files that say introduction. If I get a file from you saying introduction, there's probably no chance I'm going to be able to find it in my records. So put the class name, put your name, put the introduction or something in the file name so I can understand details. Thank you, Sulina, for having a good PPT already.
Okay, thank you. So today, a group, we present you our introduction topics. And we wanted to understand how Samsung Electronics in Korea can give an equal opportunity workplace. So as we all know, Samsung is a South Korean electronics company. It has become one of the most recognizable name in technology and one of the world's largest producer of electronic devices, which sell television, household appliances, mobile devices, and it has produces about 5th South Korea total exports. So before responding to the problematics, which is how Samsung Electronics Korea can give an equal opportunity workplace, today we would like to talk about a little bit about the history of Samsung, then to give the definition of an equal opportunity workplace to better understand it, and finally to present you which country we have chosen to compare the difference. So firstly, I would like to talk about the history. What does the word Samsung means? It means restart. The name carries the founder Lee Byung-chul vision for the company. Sorry for the pronunciation. It means he wanted for the company to shine like a star forever in the sky. Samsung first entered the electronic industry in 1969, first produced black and white television, but during 1970s, it begins to export home electronic products overseas, and in 2000, it was the birth of Samsung Galaxy smartphone series, and it was the best-selling smartphone in the world. And in 2006, it has been the top-selling global manufacturer of television. And in 2010, Galaxy series expanded to tablet computer, as you can see on this PowerPoint, with the introduction of the Galaxy tablet. So today, Samsung continues their innovation in products, investing in the future technology like 5G, 6G, AI, and robotics. So now I'm going to present you the equal opportunity workplace. So Samsung believes that innovation and growth are driven by an exclusive culture and a diverse workforce. What is equal opportunity? It means that every person can participate freely and equally in areas of public life, such as in the workplace, in education, or in accessing goods and services. This is particularly important in diverse workplaces, where demonstrating appropriate regard for the different lifestyle, values, and personal choices and of one's colleagues is a vital way to maintain a fair environment for all. It would be interesting to work on Samsung Electronics Korea. As we all know, there are obstacles, for example, for women, because the perception continues to have a pervasive influence in the labor market, negatively impacting female recruitment. And we have chosen to talk about the different equal opportunity workplace. We wanted to compare Samsung Electronics Korea with France and Norway because we think that it will be very interesting to see how they manage according to different countries. This was the references. I know that you wanted to put the references under every image, but I put it at the end. That's it. Thank you for listening.
Hey, Professor Cho. Hey, Wan Cho, what is your evaluation? What is your comment? You're the boss. I love that screen. Go ahead, Hey Wan Cho.
I think it's pretty easy to understand what topic is it and what topics it is and the history of it. And I love it.
Okay, so if there's 15 marks, how many marks would you give? That's a hard one, especially in Korea. Most Korean people are nervous about giving other people points. But we're talking about international management. Go ahead. I gave the first team full 15 points. Do you want to do the same, especially since she gave her presentation all by herself, or do you want to tear her apart?
I want to give a 13 or 14 points to them, since I want them to show more comments about the importance of the topic. Yeah.
Okay, wow, a serious hardcore professor. Good job, Professor Cho. Who else? Ozbeg Enarov, I haven't heard you talk too much. Would you like to say something?
Yes. Maybe if she talk about equality history among Samsung staff would be great, but she focused on Samsung mobile phones history. I think it's not very necessary or important. My comment is that.
And if you gave her a score out of 15?
Considering she made it all alone, I would give her 13 or something.
Okay, good. Celine Cheng, thank you for giving a presentation. I thought it was a great presentation, especially because you didn't wait for other people. You were proactive. Other people are probably telling you, wait, I have a doctor's appointment, or I have some great excuse, or my dog is dying today and I can't present today. And so they are saying they want some extension, but you actually presented something. So you have marks for your team. You can continue to get more marks if you present something more in a later class. Be proactive. That is good. Any other comments from anybody else? Going once, going twice. Okay, so we have about 10 more minutes. We are talking about this. So this idea of planning. I think it's great. We've already gone through the idea of basic planning, how it's very important to develop yourself, start early, because your reputation is made over time. A company is not going to immediately think you're amazing unless you have something developed over time and prove yourself. So we've already talked about that. We're going to be getting into what Pia was talking about. Pia, are we in Web 1.0, Web 2.0? Would you have any idea what we're talking about? What is this AI crap that you guys were talking about?
Yeah, that would probably be considered Web 4.0, because artificial intelligence is basically everywhere already in the internet.
Right, and it's all around us. So it's definitely impacting HR. It's definitely impacting jobs. What we're talking about here, Web 1.0, Web 2.0, some people are also referring it to Industrial Revolution 1.0, Industrial Revolution 2, 3, 4. Now we're at Industrial Revolution 4.0. And what that's talking about is the entire world is changing. The ideas that have been taught to me, the ideas that have been taught to my parents, the ideas that have been taught to the older generation that are now basically running the world, generally no longer apply. That idea that when they were going through school, when they were getting trained, they thought you get a job, that job is for life. That may no longer apply. If you're lucky, you may get a job for life. But many people and many companies are now hiring just project by project. So just be aware of that. And the idea of working with technology is very important. Whether you like AI, artificial intelligence, or whether you like machine learning or not, it's not important. You need to understand what it is and how it's changing the world so that you can work together in a mutually beneficial way. If you don't pay attention to AI, if you don't pay attention to this Industrial Revolution 4.0, there's a very strong chance that your career will be hurt. So human resource planning is the process of identifying the needs of the organization and the right number of qualified people for the right number of jobs at the right time. So you're aware of those things. There is conflict sometimes between HR needs to take care of the needs of the company and the needs of the actual workers. Significant lead time is needed to identify needs of both. And as we're identifying here, you need a significant lead time to identify what job the company needs, what job the company needs to hire somebody to do, to get a qualified person. And then after you get anybody, you need to identify what are the needs of that person so they're not going to quit. And if they take a job and then quit, or if they take a job and get fired, then you're replacing that staff. That's the staff turnover. You need to manage that. So how does it relate to this? We've already talked about it. The strategic business plans are given to the top directors, vice presidents, management of the company, but they're also shared with HR. HR usually has more information than you'd be aware of. It would be a good idea to be friends with HR so you know what the company is needing to do and what they're measuring so that you know to get points in that measuring area. For example, in our presentations today, the statement of the organization's mission, what I'm valuing, what I am evaluating is that you have a presentation, number one, of course, you've identified yourself, not just your name, but you should identify your contact so people can get in touch with you, and you're very specific so people know what you're talking about. And then you provide some sort of support as to why it's important. So if you have those things, that's good. If HR is identifying those things, that's what you should really focus on. Everything else is considered fluff. And as one of our classmates identified, some of the presentations, there was a lot of nice information, but it wasn't directly related to your HR management focus. So that's called fluff. You could do a lot of fluff. You can make things, nice, but if the company is only focused on certain things and giving points or giving pay or giving bonuses for those certain things, you need to identify those things. So that's important to understand. The link between the HRP and the business strategy. Make sure that you understand what is the business strategy. Make sure you understand the traditional HR programs, what they're using to satisfy the needs of top management and the senior functional management. If you understand that, that's where you should be focusing your work. Any comments about that? Sometimes, for example, management, like in Kodak, anybody know the Kodak company? It's a company that used to make different types of cameras, not digital cameras, and old film paper for the old-fashioned types of cameras. So they were focused on developing that all the time. Are you supposed to just do what they're looking for? We understand that you have to understand the company's focus, what the company wants to do, the company's business strategy. And then you need to know each of the main managers that runs the company or evaluates you. You need to understand what they're focused on. That's clear, right? That's obvious. But sometimes people like to talk about fluff. Sometimes people like to talk about something different. Sometimes people talk about things that are not directly in the business strategy focus. Can you think of an example of what you should do then, or why it's okay to do things that the company executives are not focused on?
I don't know.
Like the Kodak company. A Kodak company is now basically bankrupt. They disappeared because they were focused on making the Polaroid cameras and old-fashioned film paper. But since everybody is using digital cameras now, that old camera company is basically out of business. So even though the executives and the CEO, they love their business, they love their camera, they know that their cameras make pictures on paper that you can hang around your house, and people love them much more than any digital details. So they kept promoting it. And they were only evaluating staff that were doing things just for that camera paper. So if you want to get your full pay, you need to only focus on the camera paper. Sometimes even the CEO or top management may be wrong, like in Kodak, and you need to promote a new idea for them. Like this is related to disruptive innovation. Sometimes the big industries are changed by something that initially seems like a joke or not serious. Like everybody in the world was taking pictures on photo paper, and somebody came up with some digital toy to make an image. And initially it wasn't very good, so Kodak thought it was a joke, it's not very serious. They continue their way. They didn't respect the disruptive innovation in digital cameras. So you as a worker need to understand what is the overall environment. Regardless of what your executives say, regardless of what the CEO says, take a big picture view of what's happening. And then understand your management in the company, they're only focused on certain details. So you need to do those details for the management. And if you're going to promote something new, like a disruptive innovation technology, you must have good references. You must be aware of those details. Just like many companies that used to offer lifelong employment are no longer offering lifelong employment. That idea that you need to specialize in one skill, it's a very new concept for people. So be aware of those details. We just have a little bit of time left. So I'm going to go through this. I've already started to talk about how strategy is definitely linked to human resource planning. We've talked about that. We talked about the time frame. In some sense, the idea that most people do things according to what they learned growing up. And if they learn things up until their 20s, that book that they studied in their 20s is how they will continue to manage for the rest of their life. Not many people continue with the changes and continue to study these updates. So be aware of those things. There's huge changes happening now with the Industrial Revolution 4.0. Even though we say that, human resource planning, they usually only have the 0 to 2 year planning, short range planning, the 2 to 5 year planning, intermediate, and beyond the 5 year planning, the long range. And most people are not really focused on this, but they have to be. You should be. So there's evolving processes. Stage 1, 2, 3, they're all crap. Companies have no long-term business plan and do little with human resource planning. That's terrible. Stage 2, which is better, companies have a little bit of a long-term business plan, but they tend to be skeptical of human resource planning. Stage 3, companies engage in some aspects of human resource planning, but these efforts are not integrated into the long-range planning. All of that is terrible. All of that is crap. You should be looking at stage 4 or 5. 5 is the target. Companies must do a good deal of human resource planning for the future and the environment, and make sure the top managers are enthusiastic about the process. If you find a company that does not do this, hopefully you are in HR and you can change this to the stage 5. Companies treat human resource planning as an important and vital part of their long-term business plan. If not, there's going to be big problems. So steps in the planning process: determine the impact on of the organizational objective on each of the departments in the company. Then define the skills and expertise required to meet those. Who do you need to hire? What is the demand for HR? Then determine additional HR requirements in light of the current requirements. Do you need to fire people? Do you need to hire people? Do you need to train your existing people in a different way? then you need to develop action plans to meet these anticipated human resource planning. So related to this, if we identify our class is a company or organization, all of you should be helping HR or me identify who you are. So get ready next class to share your resume. If you have your resume already, submit it to the teaching team or submit it to the Facebook group. Try to submit it to another person in class so the other classmate in the team, the class, can start evaluating it so that we can identify what is your plan going forward. So we're out of time for today. Next class, we're going to finish talking about this and go through chapter 3. And next week, we have a big holiday. So any questions related to this? Jimok Joe, any questions from you?
Great contents, thank you. And can I inform the topics we chose it?
Everybody informs your topics in the online
Okay.
class
got
outline.
it. Yes.
You can
Yes.
submit it to the teaching team, yes. So thanks, class is finished. I will stick around for a little while if you have questions, but have a good day.